Alright, so here's my top 3 favorite influencers that I think everyone should follow. So number 1 for me is gonna be Chris Bumstead, of course. I think he is such an inspirational guy, winning 3 Olympia titles, of course, but also the way he lives his life. He's all about balance, basically feeling good, and also taking his health very seriously, which I think is a big problem in bodybuilding. A lot of bodybuilders do a lot of screening, but they're like, it's gonna be fine, or I'll just retire before the serious damage is done. What I think Chris does very well is when his health starts deteriorating, basically, he just knocks it off a bit, or he takes less, or he's very open about this stuff, and I think that's a very solid thing for younger people to have and look up to as well. Because I think that a lot of young people nowadays just start abusing basically anabolic steroids, start abusing SARMs, all those kinds of things, because they want to be as big as like Chris, for example. And so I think he sets a very good example, like, guys, please, health goes first, and then you can start looking into other things. Also, I think you should start training a longer while without using steroids, and then later on, if you really want to start using them, but please be aware of the health risks, and I think that's a message that he shares as well, which is very good. The second influencer I think everyone should follow as well is going to be Greg Doucette.
Eating an extra 1,000 calories a day, stupid and just not going to help. 500 calories extra a day, not going to help at all in actually building muscles. The studies will show this. And then when you diet back down, you think you have all this muscle. You didn't. It's fat and water, and you lose it all, and you're like, well, that sucks. So you wasted all this time bulking up when you didn't need to.
I think he is a very funny guy. But also something that's very essential to him, I think, is that he's very realistic and he's very, very honest. So one, about his steroid use as well, and he's also very honest about your results, the things you can expect, basically. So basically a very down-to-earth and relaxed guy. He does scream a lot though, but that's fine. I mean, that's just the way he is and the way he makes his videos, so I think it's quite funny as well. But I think he's very realistic, as in not everyone has top-tier Chris Bumstead genetics. So not everyone is gonna look the same, so you can't necessarily expect to look like a Greek god and look so amazing that basically all symmetrical and perfect, like a lot of bodybuilders do. But he's all for getting the most out of what you have, not blaming your genetics for everything, still working very hard, pushing harder than last time, which is his motto, of course. And basically getting the most out of the body and the mind you have, which I think is a great message to share with younger people, also with older people. But I do think it's a great thing that he basically preaches for. Don't have like the expectation that you're gonna look like a bodybuilder, like a Nick Walker or maybe like an Arnold Schwarzenegger. Don't expect to look like that basically without using the steroids or whatever. Basically just go for looking your best, feel your best, and be your best. Walk around a healthy body weight, not being overweight. I think his cookbooks are great and what he does. So overall I'd say he's a pretty cool guy and he's definitely worth following as well. And the third influencer I think everyone should follow is going to be Jeff Nippard.
You know that new research shows that the stretched part of a lift is more important than the contracted part for muscle growth? Here's how I've been applying that to my chest training. Remember that your pecs will be stretched when you pull your arm out to the side, and they'll be contracted when you move your arm in across your body. So to spend more time in the stretched aspect, you can use a technique called integrated partials on pec flies. This is where you alternate between full range of motion reps and partial reps in the stretched half only. So you do one rep all the way up, then one rep just halfway up, then you do another rep all the way up, and then another rep only halfway up, and so on until you can't get the weight all the way up. And then on your last set, you can keep going with partial reps in the bottom half until you hit failure. I often like doing partial reps this way rather than leaving all your partial reps until the end, because you get to spend more total time in that anabolic stretched position. Try them out next time you hit chest.
I think he's a great influencer as well because he's very scientific about everything. So nothing he will ever say comes without a whole bunch of evidence or a whole bunch of research behind it. So I think that's a great standpoint to go from. So if you're just learning how fitness works, or if you're just learning the basics, I think he's a great guy to follow because he always shows all the analysis, all the research, and basically concludes it down into one video where you can basically learn how stuff works and see how the basics work and get the most progress, like the first two are preaching as well. So I think following Jeff Nippard is definitely someone worth following. Of course, I always recommend watching the newest videos because science, of course, changes. So maybe a video that he made like a couple years ago, the research could have changed. So if you see like 2 videos on how to grow your biceps, I'd watch the most recent one, of course, because meta-analysis and research changes all the time. So always watch the newest ones. But I think in most of his videos, or basically all of his videos, there's a big truth behind most of them. There's a lot of science behind them. And with science, you can never go wrong. That being said, though, don't purely rely on science. Also feel what your body is capable of. Because if science says like the max you should do is 15 sets, and your body can handle 16, 17 just fine, and you're growing and you're progressing, then go for it and see what your body does and see what your body responds to very well. But in general, for most of the people that are watching, his information is going to be solid and his information is going to be good. So these are the 3 influencers I think everyone should follow. Let me know what yours are, or that maybe I missed someone, and maybe I missed someone you think is very important. So let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.